Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start our video with a story about a Karen who thought her freshly done hair gave her a free pass to break the rules. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Karen tries to make her hair my problem. I work as security at a small tourist attraction. On a busy weekend day, we can see about 500 guests a day. Access to the property and building are strictly controlled to manage the flow of guests. If you're not a paying customer, you can't sit around on our property. It was pouring rain and we have covered awnings for our guests waiting outside. If you don't have a reservation and haven't checked in with security, you can't be standing under the awning. A middle-aged woman came rushing past our gate, blew past me as I attempted to speak to her, and went to stand under the awning. I catch up to her and ask her if she has a reservation. She tells me she's waiting for her Uber. I advise her we have a dedicated pickup location on the other side of the property. She holds up her phone and insists her Uber is coming to her location because she has our business listed as the pickup address. Thinking she's a guest who exited, Uber pickup is next to the exit. I advise her again she'll have to go to the back, and she can't get there while under the awning as the flow of guests is going the other direction. She then snaps at me, "I just had my hair done." So I inquire again if she's a guest, because I have no idea how she could have just gotten her hair done. She tells me that she just left the salon, which I have no idea how her Uber app had our business as the pickup location, as there are no hair salons near my work that I know of. I even double-checked on Google Maps before making this post to make sure of that. So if she came from a salon, it's not a legit one with any obvious storefront. I looked at her phone again and pointed at the map. See, the pickup location is on the other side. Her dot and the dot for the pickup spot are clearly in two different locations. Anyways, I advise her again the only way to get there, because she's not a paying customer entering our actual business, is to go back out onto the street and around the back. She begins to rage again about her hair. At this point, my boss, whom I love, takes notice. As he walks over, she notices me looking at him, so she turns to focus her rage on him. The front of our property is fairly small, so I know he heard our entire interaction up to this point. I just had my hair done, and he won't let me wait for my Uber. My boss quickly verifies with her that she's not a guest and simply says, "Ma'am, you're trespassing on private property, and if you refuse to leave, I'm more than happy to call the police. They can provide you a ride and get you out of the rain." My boss is awesome. With her face red as a cherry, she stormed off, never to be seen again. Her hair was nothing special either. Edit. I do mention in my post she said she just left the salon. To make it more clear, she supposedly called an Uber to pick her up from the salon, and the Uber app selected our business on her GPS somehow. That's what confused me when this happened, since, as I mentioned in my original post, there are no salons I know of anywhere near my work. It would have to have been a couple of blocks away at minimum, which is why her Uber app setting my work as the pickup spot made absolutely no sense. I can only assume she moved the pin while setting the pickup location. Edit 2. It was not physically possible to allow her to wait in that spot for her Uber. Rain or not, we do not allow Ubers to pick up people from that location because it's too small and dangerous. There's no room for them to turn around, and when we've had Ubers ignore us and try to pick people up from there in the past, it's resulted in them hitting our fence and even one of our guests on a previous occasion. Every single person who approached from that entrance that day, and any day it's busy, even the paying customers, were required to walk around the outside. This Karen thought and acted like she was special and different from everyone else because of her precious hair. Bravo! Never give in to a Karen. They use their overblown sense of entitlement, usually threats to inform the manager, as a conceived scare tactic to get their way. You handled that perfectly, and your manager was also a star by completely backing you up and removing her, showing her that you had been correct all along, and he wanted her gone too. And our second story. Karen tangles with a combat veteran, gets more than a handful. I'm a 52-year-old man that works as a butcher at a pork processing plant, and I never encountered a Karen in my hometown. Background: I live in a town of about 20,000 people in southeast Iowa. I've lived here my entire life, minus 6 years that I spent in the military serving in Operation Desert Storm. Yeah, it's been 25 years. I was discharged in 1996, but it serves a relevant point that people always tend to mess with the ones they know nothing about. The story. The other day, I was at a neighborhood grocery store, we'll call it HV to keep anonymity, and was buying a couple loaves of bread as I had run out. Now at HV, their work uniform is a red polo shirt with the company name embroidered on the left breast area in white, khaki or black pants, and different colored aprons. Black for the deli meat counter, red for floor, and front area green for floral, and a white lab coat for the pharmacy. I couldn't have been in the aisle for 10 seconds when I feel a pair of eyes on my shoulder. I turn with a start, causing the woman directly behind me to give me a frown. I'll call her Karen. Me. You know, you shouldn't stand behind people like that. You don't know how they'll react. Karen. I need your help. Stupid me didn't register the way she said that, which should have set off the alarm bells. Now, there are people out there that state their anger is on a short fuse. I don't have a fuse. I have a button. Push it, and it's Armageddon. One thing I do have to admit, though, I've been pretty good at keeping it suppressed. I'm usually very level-headed. I mean, I've had enough violence in my life. I'd give anything if I could just live in peace. Me. If you want help, you should ask one of the employees. Karen. I am. Me. Huh? The realization suddenly hits me like a tank, and that she's talking to me. Me. Ma'am, I don't work here. I was wearing a black t-shirt, black cargo pants, black socks, and black sneakers. There was nothing about how I was dressed that said I worked there. However, Karen must have been blind as well as deaf. Karen, don't lie to me. You work here. By this time, I can feel me starting to lose control. This insufferable oaf was wearing my patience thin. Me. What about my clothes says I work here? Karen, you're wearing an employee uniform. You need to help me now. Oh, bad move, Karen. Now, I'm about 6'1" and weigh about 210 pounds. I'm not a small guy, and my voice is fairly deep, meaning when my volume goes up, I can get very intimidating. So much so, I've made more than a few scared of me. And at this point, manners have gone out the window. I'd had enough. Me, matching shrill scream with booming growl, what effing part of I don't work here do you not understand, you irritating effing pencil neck? After Karen loses the surprised look on her face, she balls up her fists and gets this I'm gonna kick your butt look. I see this, and at the same time I notice a couple of employees behind me, so I return her look with a go ahead and try it look. Me, fair warning, you swing on me like a man, you better be prepared to take a punch like a man. Well, Karen relaxes her hands, then she hauls off and slaps me across my face, knocking my glasses off and scraping the bridge of my nose. It did bleed a bit, but the kicker was that she was laughing. Apparently, Karen must have thought I wouldn't do anything. However, she tangled with the wrong guy. She turns to look at me, and I put her on her butt with a slap across her face. Me, I warned you. Karen decides to play her trump card. Karen, I'm gonna have you arrested. I smiled widely and pointed to the security cameras installed in the ceiling on each end of the aisle. Me, have a nice day, B. I grabbed my 2 loaves of bread and walked up front to pay, while Karen is frog marched to the office in the back of the store. I found out the next day the grocery store decided to suspend her from the establishment for 30 days. Sucks to be her. 30 days? Why not forever? Why would they encourage people who physically attack their customers? I hope you press charges for assault. And our last story. Neighbor keeps threatening to take us to court over our shared driveway. We bought a semi-detached house in England and moved in 2 years ago, excited to settle into our new home. However, it wasn't long before we encountered a less than welcome surprise in the form of our elderly neighbor. She was unpleasant from the get-go, making baseless threats to take us to court to prove she owned our driveway and front garden. Naturally, we were concerned, so we engaged a lawyer to investigate the matter thoroughly. The results were clear. She didn't own our driveway or front garden. Our properties have a deed for a shared driveway stating that each of us owns half and grants access to the other. This arrangement originally allowed vehicular access to the garages at the back of our homes. However, both garages no longer exist as we have extended our houses, making the shared access somewhat obsolete. Despite this, she insisted that because the garages were gone, we no longer had the right to use her half of the driveway to bring our car in. She threatened to seek an injunction against us if we tried. Rather than escalate the situation, we decided to comply and plan to extend our dropped curb to access off-street parking in front of our house, as advised by our lawyer. But our neighbor wasn't satisfied. She had her lawyer send us a letter demanding that we nullify the deed entirely and allow her to build a wall down the middle of the driveway to demarcate her area. If we didn't agree, she threatened to take us to court. At this point, we'd already spent a considerable amount responding to her lawyer's letters and preparing to build the dropped curb. Nonetheless, we decided to offer a compromise. We told her we were willing to nullify the deed if she wanted, but we made it clear we didn't want a wall on our side and that she should cover all legal costs since this was her desire. Unfortunately, our neighbor, being as stubborn as she is, decided to move forward with her plan anyway. Ignoring our agreement, she began constructing the wall right down the middle of the driveway. She seemed to take a twisted pleasure in building it, perhaps thinking she had finally won our ongoing feud. However, karma has a way of catching up to people. Not long after the wall was completed, we received an unexpected visit from the local council. It turned out that our neighbor had neglected to obtain the necessary planning permission to build the wall. Furthermore, because the driveway was still considered shared property under the original deed, she had no legal right to build on it without our consent. The council ordered her to tear down the wall immediately, stating that if she didn't comply, they would take further legal action against her. The best part, she couldn't even try to pass off the cost of dismantling the wall onto us because it was entirely her doing. In the end, her attempt to assert control backfired spectacularly. The wall came down and she was left with not only the legal costs of her failed attempt, but also the expense of removing the illegal structure. Meanwhile, we went ahead with our plans to extend the drop curb and secure our off-street parking, finally putting this whole mess behind us. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.